Right, legends, welcome to the crypto market review. So it's the last trading day for Bitcoin of the month. So I posted already why, well, not why, the short I took, okay? And now I'm going to break it down in detail. So let's start with the clean chart, okay? Boom. How liberating is that? Just a clean chart. Okay, so let's start with the quarterly. Where are we? What's going on? So I did post the chart before. So remember I said study this, and I'm gonna be going over this, okay? I'm gonna explain this. This line looks a bit wonky, but yeah. So sometimes it's easier, when you clean everything up, start again. What's going on? So we start with the yearly. Okay, it's above the yearly open, but it's only February. Anything can happen. But let's mark it out anyway. So every time I start, so for those that are asking, how do I mark out my top-down charts? This is exactly how it is, okay? So there's no excuse to ask me or be confused, whatever. So open comes in at 71.63. I'm gonna go over it very slowly. I don't even if you understand this already, it doesn't matter. I do it purposely even when I do it myself because it just reinforces certain facts or certain ways. Yearly open, done. That's the high of the year so far. That's the low of the year. We're above last year's open. Okay, so not much to gain from it other than it's below above the yearly open. I won't put too much emphasis on it because it's still early. But okay, quarterly, same thing. We're above previous quarter's open. Okay, it's still got another month to go. Anything can happen. Could this just be the wick? And Bitcoin being Bitcoin, this can just crash in one day. So that's quarterly. Nothing much to gain from that other than a few quarterly levels that we're at. See this high there? That's a quarterly key resistance. That high there comes in at 99.70. So that's a key resistance. 99.70, and I'll explain why in a second. So when I draw a level, you can understand why if I draw that level. Is it just a level for the sake of it? No, it's fucking not. There's a reason behind it. Everything has a reason. Why is that level important? Remember, always remember, where are we within? We are within this leg. Okay? Until we break out of this leg, we are still within this range. That's the range we're in. Don't forget that. Okay? And then a smaller range would be this leg here, which is last year. So we get ranges within ranges within ranges. Okay? So if this was a resistance level when it was coming down, we draw it and say, was it pivotal before? Well, on a quarterly basis, it was. We broke it, closed above it, and then closed below it, and then we wicked it and wicked it. So that proves to us that this level is pivotal. Can everybody see that before I continue? It's important you understand this part. Give this a bit of girth because we want it to stand out. So we know as a key level there. What's the other key level we're dealing with right now? It's going to be another quarterly high, which is here. Now I know about the magnet tool, so you don't need to repeat it to me. I have an OCD, so I have to do it like this. I have to do certain things certain ways. Okay, I know there's an easier way. This works for me, so I don't fight it. I go along with it. Okay. If you're new, you learn it. You know it now. There's certain OCDs I have, which is a good thing because it keeps me sharp instead of making me lazy. That's another quarterly level. Hang on, 6383.5. Is that right? Hang on a minute. 84.87. What am I doing? 84.87. 84.87. Okay, just marking that out so we're aware of that. So when we go to it, we'll know. Now let's go to the monthly. Actually, that's a bad idea because the main levels I'm going to do are going to be thicker. So let's just do a faint color line. That was actually a bad idea. Half the time I only spent on colors. Let me pause this. So I've done the quarterly resistance levels in light green, okay, so we know what it is. Lo and behold, oh, look at that support. Coincidence, no? Cap in the market. So now we go to the monthly. It's a bit clear, isn't it? Close above. Deviation. Wicked. Close below. Wicked. Taken that previous month's high. Does that not naturally set you for a tone towards a bearish bias on the higher time frame? So imagine this was a 5-minute chart. This is resistance. When am I cleanly confident on a close above this level? Then we get the bullish bias. Then at that point, this becomes a deviation then in a bullish bias of that key level. Does that make sense so far? So see how it makes sense now. Once you break it down, Once you explain it, then you say, hang on a minute, I'll be looking at a fucking hourly and looking for a swing trade on hourly when actually what's the monthly saying? What's the quarterly saying? What's the yearly saying? Done. Now, what's the next key resistance we're going to be aware of? Well, previous month's high. So let's do that. So this can be a long ass video because I'm just breaking it down top down, okay? But sometimes we gotta do it. Just to like refresh. It's always good. Even when I don't show it to you guys, I always do it myself anyway. Okay? Because it keeps me in check. What if I'm getting marrying a bias? What if I miss something? Well, this filters that out. So that's previous month's high. Close within the range. Well, do I need to say anything more for a bias? No, I don't. Now, look what we have. This is now a deviation. Now, of this, so the other levels we used are still intact. Remember before when we're looking at this level here, the 10,400, 10,430 level. That's just a refined level. Sorry, down here. That's just a refined level. You know, as you zoom in. So remember that key pivot. So once you got the bias, then you add the further confluence levels. Okay. So going back to that, would you want to long this now? So on this question, after what I've explained, short term at least for the immediate term, what's you looking more towards? A bullish bias or a bearish bias? So you could argue that, oh, you know, that's the bearish drop done. Okay, so if that's the case, where would be the next logical target? The next logical target, and I'm working from level to level until it clears a level, okay? Which would be where the consolidation that took it above, isn't it? So I don't know if it's going to break or not, and I don't need to worry about that. All I need to see is, I know where the high probability target is here. Now after that, then I'll start saying, is it going to do this or is it going to do that? Nobody knows. Whoever's thinking, nobody knows 100% sure. But what I can do is work with what I've got and know that, okay, the next logical target is going to be into this consolidation. So what I'm going to do is mark out a minimal objective, okay, and always go for the minimal. Okay, yeah, but that we don't know. We don't know. We just gotta work with what we've got, and then if that happens, then we act on accordingly. If this happens, we act on it accordingly. But what we've got so far, okay, is built not fitting anything for my narrative, but fitting it towards what the market's telling me. So when I draw these lines and these levels on a higher time frame, I'm illustrating what the market's telling me, or which I believe anyway. So the next higher probability objective is going to be the high point of this consolidation. So, you know, when you see order blocks, right, or consolidation or supply and demands, what is it really? Consolidation. What is that consolidation? Where the order accumulated, they rally out of that. Then when they want to buy more, whether you call it demand level, or whatever you want to call it, that's how it works, right? Everybody's clear with that, aren't they? That's how it normally works. So why should it be any different on a monthly? It should it? So we use that in our favor and say, okay, let's mark out the minimal target, which would be that high there. Obviously, you can refine it further. I'm just going to mark out minimal targets, and then anything else is just extra. Okay, there's nothing genius about that. It's just logic, really. But sometimes you got to point out the logic for somebody to realize it, because you get too married into a bias. It happens to me. I'm talking to myself first and foremost. But sometimes, oh, how did I miss that? Do you know what I mean? Do you ever get that? I do. Sometimes if certain things not pointed out, you won't know it. But when you know what you're looking for, then, oh, that was obvious, it was in my face. But why? Because emotions and bias and everything around you. Twitter's the biggest thing anyway. This is why I don't pay attention to anybody on Twitter. I never ask anybody their opinion. If I do, it's because I'm counter trading them, most likely. That's the only time. If you ever see me ask somebody their opinion on Twitter, it's because I'm countering them. And I don't go out countering somebody because I just know they're full of shit. But yeah, but I play friendly with them. I play friendly. Oh, I'm not gonna record. So the high is 78.70, just a high probability target. That's it. Okay, and then as we go further, we'll narrow it down further and further and further. So if you were to ask me, where am I wrong? From this chart alone, I'm wrong there, target there, and that's that. Okay, and this level was I don't know, I forgot what this level was. What was this level again? Let's go back to the yes, yearly open. Okay, that's so if it breaks that, the next natural magnet for price is going to be the yearly open. If it breaks that, so right now where we are is there's two scenarios. it could do this or it could do this. I don't know. I could never say to somebody, oh, you're wrong on this. I don't know for myself. Nobody knows. All I can do is say to somebody is, because it's done all of this, the next natural target is this. When we get there, then I'll see. So if it does something like this and starts using that as resistance and starts breaking down, that says to me that that becomes a deviation of this range. And the next natural target is going to be toward the yearly open, which everybody should know, that's natural magnet, and then these lows here. Then I can say hardcore bearish bias. If this happens, then I act upon it. Have a plan that if this happens, then I can say probably toward this consolidation here. Okay? I don't know, but what I do know is I'm prepared for either scenario. Okay? So all we do is we take action on what's high probability. We ignore, we leave the others. Okay? Just go with what's clear. Okay? So let's continue now. So now everything's done. Everybody with me so far? Good. So let's now go down to the daily. Now within these levels we get more levels. So we've got this as a key level. So what's the one level that stands out to me on a weekly time frame? When he broke out of this consolidation, what was the initial high formed? It's that high there, isn't it? That high there lines up with that quarterly level. Now can you see how these quarterly levels magically line up with the weekly level? So obviously the weekly would be considered as a lower time frame compared to the quarterly. Is that coincidence? No, that is not coincidence. So I'm not going to draw that level out because it's already there. Okay, but we can see why we're pausing here. Okay, so you could say when you were short, I know the high probability objective reaching that quarterly level, and then you can say, okay, unless you say you were short, unless it smashes through it in one candle or quickly, that is expected some resistance to my short or some sort of support area. Okay, so you have a plan. Say, okay, I'm done here. But what I do know is, if it cleanly breaks below here, what does that mean? That opens the doors towards this level and then deeper down. Okay, so this is why I'm still sticking to the bearish bias. So now I can break this down further and say, okay, at which point would my probability of the short increase again? If I'm not sure, because I know it's a quarterly level, I'm still bearish bias, but I can be bearish and this could happen. Okay, so what do you do to remove that? Well, what did I just discuss? I just said if it breaks that, and that's the probability increasing towards the target there. Can everybody see that? So if you want to be conservative, it doesn't mean you're wrong on your bearish overall direction. It just means market could do this. Okay, we just don't know. But to remove that and say, okay, well, it could do that. So what you do is you wait for a clean break of that. And these levels look random to people, but they're not. They're quarterly levels. How many people mark a quarterly level until I introduced it? Well, I didn't think I sold it, but nobody. But see how that makes more sense. So the high probability play would be there. So anything above that could be considered more aggressive. That does not negate your overall bias, just means probably a short-term bounce. So now I did a chart earlier and I marked out some levels. Brings me back to that I showed you at the beginning. Okay, and those levels basically then we can add them on. I said if you're not unsure on your bias, play level to level. Let's do that now. So one level is here. So we got levels within levels then. Okay, there. I'm going to randomly draw it. I'm going to remove it. Okay, don't need it. But I just want to illustrate the point because we've done the hard work for it anyway. So let's just, okay, I'm going to quickly draw this out just so we can use that. Just there, resistance, deviated, it got back below it, resistance, resistance, support. I'm not interested in anything between it. What's the key pivot there? That is noise. This is noise. Okay, this is the key pivot. Let's do another one. So I'm just going to mark the short-term ones. What's the key pivot here? It's going to be probably this level here. So here, you got this level here. Okay. Jumped up. That was the first resistance. Resistance broke back below it. Deviation. Consider that noise. What further supports the idea? Support there. Resistance there. Coincidence? No. Okay. So one could argue, well, my resistance there. Well, that's fine. Okay. But if this is... So at this point, so say we're at this point, okay, so in future, say we're at this point, I don't know, this could be just a first hit, it could do a deviation of this level, like this, and then tag that, and then if it gets back below it, I could say there. So what proves to me or supports my idea is hit it, lower low, willingness to go lower, which says to me or further increase the odds of my idea that they want to hinge off this level, which was the initial SR level. Does that make sense so far? So in future, if you want to further support the idea, wait till it confirms, okay? And then I believe we've got that. And again, if you want further confirmation, which we'll get to lower time frame, but on this level, wait for a break of this. If that breaks, that's what increases the levels probability. So where's the next stops resting? Below here. Working towards the high probability target all the way from the monthly here. This is why, do you think they give a fuck about a daily level when you got a monthly and quarterly level standing out like that? No. Think of it as magnets. The higher time frame, the level, the bigger the magnet. So if you've got a huge magnet against a little pussy magnet, everything's going to be attracted to the huge magnet, isn't it? It's the same principle here. Don't take my word for it, go back test it. Mark out quarter level, look at a scenario similar to that, which level gets more respected. Okay? And even if they are going to go to that daily level, okay? Well, if this is the case, and that's SR level, if it gets back above that, then I'd say, okay, then magnet for price would be there. That would become a short-term deviation, and I'll play it long to there then. So you can even play a counter trend if your overall bias is that. Does that make sense? So we're not marrying a bias. We're saying, okay, if this happens, I'll get the fuck out my shorts. I'll take it long to there as target 1, and then possibly even into there based on the higher time frame levels. So is that making sense as to how you would short term switch your bias? And then my bias would have to be short term, okay, unless it gets back above here. If it gets back above here, then that's a bigger deviation. We're above the quarterly and yearly levels, and then I'll say, okay, we're on for here, here, and then here. And that quarterly level there, first objective. If that gets cracked, then there. So is everybody with me so far? Is it making sense? That's the key thing. I want everybody here to make sense. This is no trade idea right now. This is just understanding what is the market telling you and why. Don't take my word for it, okay? Break it down. Always criticize what I'm saying as well. Why is he saying that? Is it making sense to me? The moment it starts making sense to you, oh, it's not as hard as it really is, isn't it? It's people making it hard. Okay, let's do this now. So that's a short-term objective. That's why I say 8200. If I mark out the low to this, okay, I will really see 8200 is a little gap there, which we'll see now. So that's done. The hard work's done. I don't even need to go further now. That was the basis of my swing short. So basically, what we did was we took out this high. Now I'll go to the little lower time frame to explain it in more detail. But for me personally, I would stop there and I would execute a trade based on that. That's my approach. Okay, and that's why I've got to stop there. Because if that goes, then probability wise, we're probably going to head higher, probably into here, a short term objective, maybe here, so on and so forth. Okay, so I don't need more information on that because I've got enough to base a trade off of. Okay, now let's break it down to the nitty gritty stuff. So yeah, 8247, call it 8, and our reasons are 8200. That's 8150. See a little gap there, point to release there. So that's why I said that. Okay, 8200 first objective. So now you're understanding why I've got the first objective there. So let's break it down further. And this comes back down to, remember the intraday range I spoke about? On I said, well, I've still got SPX on my mind. Man, it was such a good week on SPX. I made, oh fuck, oh, you don't want to believe me how much I made on that. But yeah, let's continue. So we've got Saturday, Friday, and do you remember? So let's look at this now. This is a key level. Think about which days ranges are critical. So we know this is a key level, right? Here. Okay. When it broke down, okay, it broke down here. The next day, it consolidated. Interpret what that means to you. What that means is a day of consolidation post the break. So that's a key level. So this is Saturday, Friday, Thursday. Wednesday is the day we broke down. So that range isn't as pivotal to me. What day is pivotal? It's the next day that it consolidates because then the orders are accumulating. Now, it's that day that you realize, could it go back above and this be a deviation, or are we going to continue lower? Okay, now we use that information to build our bias. Now my bias is short for the reason I gave, but the mean level is the critical for that. And don't take my word for it. I have that theory, I have that thesis. Then I gotta prove it. So remember the live session, one of the live sessions recently, I took the high of the day to the low of the day and used the mean. Does everybody remember that when I did that? You better be watching the videos. Don't be lazy. Okay, so if you're gonna come to me later on and ask me that question, I'm gonna either ignore you or refer you to that. Okay, no, I'm not saying you are, but just a warning sign from beforehand. Okay, So many people ask me that. I go, you motherfucker, you just watch that video, man. I'm taking my time out to do that. I'm just gonna be lazy. And at that point, you know that guy's not cut out for it. So that's that. Okay. So, is it proved itself? Yes, it has. How? Look at the touches there. Key pivot level. As soon as it deviates it, gets back above it, pushes up. Supports it. As soon as it breaks, pushes lower. Resistance. So critical. So I'll get rid of that. And even within that, we have a smaller range, okay, which I'm not going to draw out because I don't need to. But let me just quickly do it and then delete it. So we've got that resistance there. So we pushed up. That was the first high. Okay, more or less. You can refine it. Let's do a different color. And then I'm gonna actually I'll leave it there because it'll help us later on. Because within a range, you get another range. Now at this point, when it first started, I would use this as my key SR level here. But then as price evolves, I then say, okay, this level there, because that is more effective. But you could have it there. So what I do is I'll mark this one out as a lower, not as important, but yeah, okay. But this is the key one. And let me see a mid range of that. If I support the idea, sort of. You can see the pivotal. See that there? And this is just me filtering out. Am I using the right range short term? So I've taken the high to the low, and then I filter out is the mean. And as you can see, would you all agree, it's been sort of pivotal, hasn't it? Okay, so then we're on the right track. Okay, so that's a different range. So I mean, in intraday ones, short term, it doesn't have to be to the tick. Okay, give a bit of room for error. So we've got that as the Wednesday's mid range. Friday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday's mid range. Okay, so yesterday I pointed out, okay, we took the short and then I put a break even. We didn't take a loss because I said if it gets back to our entry, we're wrong. So no loss there. I said okay, that's fine. Where you touch, go back to the range high. What I wanted to see was a clean break below this. Okay, so if I'm saying okay, I know I'm wrong there. I could have still been in the trade with a stop loss there, and that would have been valid. Even a swing failure of this and then rejection, you take the stop, get back in. But because we've already had a lower low, okay, I'm expecting further downside now, and because we've been range for a couple of days, so what I did was waited, it deviated below there, got back above it. So this is a new day starting, okay. And then I'm watching, so I'm gonna take you through my thought process for the trade. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a bit too early. It's Asia. I was asleep as well. Okay, I don't know what it's going to do there. What if he uses this as support? Or I'm wrong? I could be. But what gives me the confidence to not change my bias is what I've just explained to you from the yearly, quarterly, and monthly. Do you think a shitty 15-minute chart is going to change my bias on a swing trade? No. But if you're not aware of that, quarterly, monthly, weekly, you will get shaken out. That's just fact. The confidence comes from the higher time frame. Is everybody clear with that so far? Always higher time frame precedence over lower time frame. Scalping, okay, that's different. It's all about the high time frame, okay? So let's continue. Let me take you into why I took the trade now. This is pivotal. So new day starts. I don't know. Okay, it's taking out the stops. It's coming to this low here. That was the low that caused the high consolidation. So this consolidation here set the market lower. All this was a retest of that consolidation. So that would then mean that any movement above here is a deviation, that mean level from Thursday. So I highlight that out. Okay. Well, entry technique, range high on a lower time frame, range low. Now I got in a bit aggressive because of my high time bias. I got in because it did this, and I was obviously too early here, and then it come back below that, made a lower high. It took this out. Okay, as soon as I break, this is where I entered. Where was it? Around here. It broke it there initially, came back. I entered there. Okay, see how I entered there? Using the same concepts I'm using. Nothing's different. This is the entry technique. Where's the entry technique giving the confidence through? The higher time frame. And that's how I entered. Lo and behold, retest of that, further downside. So can everybody understand now as to why I've taken the short? With the trigger. Because I'm going with a swing approach, my stop is there. But as a day trade approach, okay, well, you know that's a key level. You know that's a key level. As a day trade approach, you could enter with a stop there. So entry there. Keep a hard stop there. But if it was to go back above the mean and not reject, You'd cut it way before you got to that. And as a day trade, I mean, you've got that as a overall target, but high probability target was there. The same thing. Remember when I just showed you on the monthly, the consolidation that led to the breakout? So it's a retest of the consolidation, isn't it? So why is this any different to this consolidation? Just retest the breakout. Is there any difference to that other than the time frame? So the only difference is your mindset. That's the only difference. Your mindset's the only difference, because you're scared. Not you, just talking general. Okay? Hence my bias. Now what I can do is, okay, for those that want a conservative approach, that same quarterly levels lies near enough, that range low lies near enough, or more or less the same level as that weekly SR. So that was when you broke out the consolidation, that was the first high made as the key resistance. All line up together. So the more conservative approach, or if you're not on board and you want a more conservative approach, wait for the breakdown. And was this not the scenario I mentioned? If you want that conservative approach, enter there. Stops, keep a hard stop there. Okay, but if it's to get back within the range, just look to start trimming out or scaling out, but you're completely wrong above here then. Or for those that are swing short already, stops go from there. Whatever you've reduced it by, add that back on. Obviously target one's around 8200 level. If that breaks, there, done, that's it. Nothing more to it. The target I've got is 7690. Well, that I believe 7690 is a conservative target. It's because, so yeah, I mean that's a high probability objective. 7870. So on the weekly, okay, on the daily, it's because I expect it to go to here. So I just know personally from experience that this is the breakout. See, when it broke out here, we should have normally we retest that. Okay, we normally retest that. It didn't retest it there, so the stops are gonna be resting there. So I've got it where the stops are, because once these goes, okay, where are the next stops resting? Below this swing low, aren't they? Does that make sense? But yeah, there's nothing wrong with just getting out here as well. That's fine. Personal preference. Now it's just that now we've broken it down. We know the next high probability, the big stops are going to be resting below this swing low, and then that's where it is. That's where it is. And if you want to run it lower, that's fine. But I'm happy to get out and then get the fuck back in later on. Okay. So, is everybody clear with Bitcoin before I move forward? Yep. I mean, think about it. If you're a big player, okay, or whatever, if even it doesn't mean that just because you're on board here, you guys still got your stops could cut out. What it means is those that are long right now, that's where the stops are gonna be resting, because that's how people are taught, aren't they? Stops below swing lows, so that's where they're gonna have their stops, aren't they? This is what I don't get when people say, "Oh, that's a key level is by there." What they're doing is, I bet you how many are actually looking at the bigger picture the way I explained it and say, "Oh, that's the SR level. I'm gonna blindly buy it there." Okay, it sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good for one, because any natural bullish bias for Bitcoin on social media goes well. That's one. Now, that will further fuel your trade, because humans are emotional. As soon as they post that and everybody starts agreeing and a big follower account starts agreeing, boom, you'll go from maybe a possible long I've entered small position to as soon as they validate your idea, boom, you've over risked. You naturally will just go in, and that's just the truth. Because that person that took it and posted it will now gain confidence, because someone with a high follower count, they ain't got a fucking clue, is validating his idea, because he wants that to go up as well. And when you're increasing the size, you're not increasing it because it's logical, you're increasing it because of emotion. Anybody get that? And that's fact. I know it happens. You don't have to answer it, but think about it yourself. It's a big thing for your own self. I removed myself from that. It took me a while. I'm still I'm not removed. I'm not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes it happens to me, but because I'm doing it long enough, I do it less. I don't do that kind of stuff. Doesn't get to me. Okay, I've overcome that. But you can see how that plays, and then other people looking at it. Oh, he knows what he's on about because he's got some rep on Twitter. He must be right. But and then that big account's agreeing with him, and next thing you know, you got a fucking sheep. And then anybody posts bearish buys, it's not gonna happen. It's like yesterday, somebody says to me, I posted that basic chart, said have a good weekend. He goes to me, it's not gonna happen. I was like, okay. So that means that you must be 100% sure it's gonna go up. Put everything behind it. He goes, no, 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 no. This. I go, no, no, no. Stop chatting shit. This is what you said. You understand? Let's move forward now. Okay. So that's that done. Nothing more to say on that. Okay. Um. Yep. You could just use, this as further confluence if you want. You don't need to do that. Otherwise, it's just too much noise. Let's move on to Ethereum BTC now. So Ethereum BTC, I'm going to briefly go over this. Okay. I'm not trading this. So monthly, it doesn't need much explanation. Okay, we're at big resistance. Doesn't mean the trend is over. It just means we could have a pullback towards whatever the key resistance is before continuing higher. Okay, but this was a natural target area anyway, and only if we smash above this do we say the bias is towards here. We got targets towards there and then there. It hasn't done that, so whatever the long is, a lot of it should have been taken off here, and then you would be waiting or tightening your stops up for a possible pullback. Okay, so I still consider this as a pullback. Where am I completely wrong? Below here. If this was a 5-minute chart, but obviously there's massive distance away. So where's the next level to reach for? Towards there. So we wicked the mid range below it, closed above it. Now it looks like closed below it. Hence deviation. Just based off that, biases towards there. Let's go down to the daily to refine that a bit more now. So let me mark out the weekly level for this. The weekly level for this is going to be here. Okay. This. Go to the daily now. Okay. As we can see. Okay, we've given you a chance to go up. It's failing to go up. What's the key level? So we broke that. So the next SR level will be this low there. That's the range we're in, shorter term range. So we're within here. Now, mid range, key higher time frame macro level, range bound. Now it hasn't broken out yet, but if it does break below that, so where am I wrong? If you want to be aggressive, we were tempted to go above here. We couldn't sustain above here, which means that's got bearish bias. Aggressive traders, that's where you're completely wrong. Because a clean break of this means, okay, and hold above that would mean target towards there. That's where the long. And that's why when I had that bullish scenario, where was the arrow? It was above that level there. I said, as much as I want to get long, it has to be confirm it. Because it hasn't confirmed it. Always remain logical. Never ever have a bias and then once you get that emotional, convince yourself that's got to happen. No. Everything's lining up towards a breakdown. What would confirm the breakdown again? But in this sense, it's more logical because Bitcoin is supporting it. So if Bitcoin crashes, they're all going to go. So if I was trading this chart on its own, if I was going to enter short here, with the top there, it would be a smaller size. However, Bitcoin is supporting the idea. So again, on its own merit, clean break below that, then that would further confirm the idea. Then my risk would go from the consolidation. The center below there, risk would then be there. First target's here, because that was a consolidation. So if I drag that across, and then I'll expect a pause there, unless it cleanly smashes. If it cleanly smashes, then you can get on board back again or compound towards there as a target. And that would line up with, well, here as a target. Sorry. Let me take that back. Because this line lines up with that. Here as an objective, the first high. Okay. First target. It's the zone that area anyway, okay? So let me just box it out so it makes it clean. So it'll be here. If it breaks, so if I was short, that would be a target. If this breaks, then towards here, and possibly there's consolidation there then. And then we'll see what happens. Does it go from here or does it break down? So that's that. Is that clear for Ethereum BTC? That's how I would approach it. I'm not in this, by the way. I'm just trading Bitcoin personally, okay? Some people have asked me for Ethereum. That's what I'm saying it, okay? And again, we're prepared to go long as well. If it clean smashed above here, then fuck it. It's going to go up from here then. Okay, because it's done this pause. Just like when it paused here. If you go to the weekly for this, did it or did it not pause here? No, let's go to no, that's Ethereum USD. Hang on. I'll show the example. So Ethereum USD, quickly as well. Go to the weekly. Okay, where do we go? The 2740 macro mid-range reaction. Okay, so it could do one of these ones. Okay, consolidates here, but it seems to me it probably wants to go lower into there. At this point, we'll see if it does that or does it crash lower. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Bitcoin is the clearer technically. Okay, go to the daily. What's the daily saying to me? So we got that resistance level there. That resistance level there is saying to me at the same time as it's happening with Bitcoin. Okay, it's retested that low there. More logically, towards there. A short-term level there, but logically towards around here, this consolidation here, towards there. Okay, and in the lower time frame, if you want to refine it a bit more, okay, I'm going on this briefly because I'm not in this and I couldn't give a fuck about this because Bitcoin is technically clearer. But Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So what range are we in? Well, this capping the market to the short term. Okay, so this is why clear violations there, and then to the downside, it's here. So this is the consolidation that took it below this key level, and it's sort of capping our range level, capping with the SR. So if it goes above here, we're wrong. So that will be correct. Further confirmation will be break the range, and you can enter there. And if Bitcoin lines up at the same time as this, isn't it Confluence? Now, where would I be wrong? At least short term. If Bitcoin breaks to the upside, like I mentioned, that key level, we could play a short term long. But for this scenario, key level, range, clean break, hold, then I'm happy to get bullish. What would I play up to? Probably stops resting there into this key 260 level. Okay, what is that 260 level? We've had it before, so I'm just repeating that because you should all know what that 260 level is. It's this level here that's been acting as a magnet for us, hasn't it? See that there, key support? That would be the target, and that was the last low before the breakdown. Okay, and that's it. So even if we are wrong on the short, we know how to mitigate the loss and take the long if it follows the plan for the long. Okay, so we're prepared for the loss, but we know how to act on that and switch. Okay.